Good evening and welcome to the Nevis Newscast for today, Tuesday, August 18th, 2015. I'm your presenter, Bronte Swanston Hendrickson. We begin on a sad note. Earlier today, we learned of the passing of Chief Secretary Elvis Newton. Here is more in this report.
Mr. Elvis Newton spent the majority of his life in the civil service. His most recent appointment, Chief Secretary or Head of the Civil Service. Minister with responsibility for Foreign Affairs, the Honorable Mark Brantley, issued a statement earlier today upon learning of his passing.
We were all very saddened today to hear of the sudden passing of Mr. Newton, who many knew was the permanent secretary for some years in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Upon assuming responsibility for that ministry earlier this year in February, Mr. Newton was certainly someone whom I depended on, someone who I could rely on. I knew he had not been well, and indeed he indicated his preference to retire and to enjoy what he had left in terms of his life. And as a result of that, we agreed, and he had taken long leave in order to utilize the time that he had left in terms of his leave from government. I was very saddened today to hear the news, and I would want to extend my very deep condolences to his family. Mr. Newton worked hard. He was a model civil servant. I believe that in my dealings with him, he was forthright, and I have only good memories of him. As Minister with responsibility for Foreign Affairs, I certainly regret very deeply his passing and would wish his family to know that my prayers, the prayers of my family, and indeed the prayers of the entire country are with them at this difficult time.
A veteran of just about 35 years in the civil service, Newton's career path began as an educator at the then Newtown Primary School, before moving to the Clarence Fitzroy Bryant College. Following his tenure there, he was employed at the Ministry of Health, where he worked as a health planner, and was subsequently appointed Permanent Secretary in the Environment. He then went on to serve as Permanent Secretary in the Ministries of Health and Community and Social Development, and then Ministries of Foreign Affairs, Homeland Security, Labor, Immigration, and Social Security. Newton was appointed Head of the Civil Service as of January 2013. Newton opined that managing people is always a challenge, and was of the view that if he could get all public officers to bind to the changes he wants to make and reassure their loyalty and in the commitment of the public service, their efforts would result in success. I'm Huey Sargent. Now back to Bronte Swanston Hendrickson.
The Nevis Culturama Committee on a Saturday evening awarded the winners and participants in the Culturama 41 competitions. The ceremony, which was held at the Cultural Village, was chaired by Executive Director of the Festival's Secretariat, Antonio Liburd.
I would like to say a big thank you to all of the persons, all of the contestants, all of the sponsors, all of the chaperones, and all those persons who would have worked with the participants to ensure that we had some very good competitions this year. All of the winners, I would like to say congratulations. All of the participants, I would like to say thank you, and we'd like to congratulate you for participating in Culturama 41 and making it the success that it was.
All participants and winners were awarded cash prizes, compliments the Nevis Culturama Committee. Additionally, Mr. and Miss Talented Youth Vishwanath Singh and Jiniqua Matthew, as well as Junior Kaiso Monarch Shamari Kingsuki Mitchell and other participants in those competitions were presented with prizes, compliments Nev DC, Prem Suk Tailoring, Indo-Carib, Uali Beach Resort, Dina's Beauty Salon, Elvidge Glassford, Clyde Della Hanley, EC Computer Services and Institute, Chateau de Butte, Bridget Hunkins, Friends in New York, Texas and Nevis, Grace Foods and Odi Brisbane and Sons Trading Limited, Marva Tyson and Lime. Mr. Cool, Arundel Door, and Miss Culture Swimwear, Shanika Joshua, and other participants in those contests were awarded prizes, compliments, David Curry and Company Limited, Tradewind Aviation, Wally Beach Resort, Zip Express Shipping, Tiptoes Nails and Beauty Spa, Shamako's Barbershop, Slacks Liquor Store, Sports Center, Fit Wellness Center, Best Buy Supermarket, and Lime. Groovy Soca Monarch Tyrone Speedy Jeffers and Power Soca Monarch Dallison X-Men Roper and other participants in that contest were awarded prizes, compliments, Tradewinds Aviation. Senior Kaiso Monarch King Oscar Astro Brown and other finalists in that competition were awarded prizes, compliments, Tradewind Aviation, Wally Beach Resort, Randy Jeffers, and Lime. Miss Culture Queen Ivania Tibu and other contestants in that pageant were awarded prizes, compliments, Tradewind Aviation, Wally Beach Resort, Randy Jeffers, Lime, Fit Wellness Center, Ashbury's, Amparo Beauty Salon, Dina's Beauty Salon, Sunshine's Bar and Grill, Zip Express Shipping, Clydella Hanley, Slacks Liquor Store, Nevis Electrical and Electronic Center, Best Buy Supermarket, SL Horsfords and Company Limited. Winner of the fantasy segment of the Culturama Street Parade, Circus Comes to Town, and winner of the folklore segment, Sylvester's Masquerades, and other participating troops, as well as Road March winner, the Odyssey Band, all received cash prizes, compliments the Nevis Culturama Committee.
The contestants in all of the events will have memories for years to come. The bravery and courage that you showed when you decided to enter the competition are tools that you will use again and again. And I ask that win or lose, you use your experiences to take you forward further in life than these stages where you have competed.
Chair of the Nevis Culturama Committee, Deborah Tyrrell. Ivor Blake, head of the St. Kitts and Nevis delegation to the 2015 Special Olympics World Games, says what the Federation's athletes accomplished was not an easy feat and should not be taken lightly.
This is not the end. They will go back and continue to train to do even better next time and raise the level. We are the envy in all the Caribbean islands with many, many more larger delegations, didn't come back with this success. So don't take it lightly. This is an extraordinary feat. And I'd like to thank all the athletes here and those who will be listening, who couldn't make it today. Thank you for making us feel proud and making St. Kitts and Nevis a better place as a result.
The Department of Youth and Sports on Friday coordinated a motorcade through the streets of Charlestown, which culminated at Lime Beach Bar, where Nevis's Special Olympic athletes were treated to dinner by owner Randy Jeffers. The Federation's team performed exceptionally well in the 2015 Special Olympics World Games held in California from July 25th to August 2nd. Athletes Letitia Davis, Suranji Zacharias, Bernice Jimenez, Jamal Merchant, Cisco Phillip, Nick Diaz, and Leon Silcutt, together with others from St. Kitts, brought home 25 medals, including 11 gold, 10 silver, and 2 bronze. Among the persons congratulating the athletes was Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Social Development, Keith Glasgow.
On behalf of the Ministry of Youth and Sports, and by extension, of course, the Nevis Island Administration, I want to commend all of the athletes and, of course, their support personnel for the phenomenal job that they did in Los Angeles.
Speaking on behalf of Premier and Minister of Education, the Honorable Vance Amory, was Permanent Secretary Wakely Daniel, who declared that the athletes are heroes.
These athletes are heroes. They have gone out into the outer world and they have proven to everyone that it is not the size of the dog that is in the fight, but it is the size of the fight that is in the dog. Even though I am from a small island, I can do great things. And for this, we must congratulate them. On behalf of the Premier, the people of Nevis, the Nevis Island administration, as a matter of fact, on behalf of the entire Federation of St. Kitts Nevis, thank you once again, the athletes, for making us proud. As the saying goes, for putting us on the map. We thank you, and please join me in cheers. Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray! Hip hip! Hooray!
The athletes competed among about 6,500 others and took part in 3 of 25 Olympic-styled games: bocce, tennis, and track and field. Youth Development Officer Shoya Lawrence chaired the event. Cicely Brown did the invocation, while Assistant Head of the Delegation of Bartlett Clark delivered the vote of thanks. A number of friends, family, and well-wishers also shared in Friday's celebration. Still to come, Nevision bartender and his creation featured in USA Today. The details when we come back.
Safe sex is the best sex.
No glove,
no love.
Protect your pleasure.
Real men wear condoms.
It's your favorite DJ Kevy Kev saying, don't be silly, cover your willy. Oh.
This message was brought to you by the Nevis HIV/AIDS Coordinating Unit in collaboration with NTB/AIDS.
Welcome back. Former Assistant Matron Adrini Ward Stanley recently reminded her colleagues in the profession that there is more to nursing than academic qualifications. Stanley, who has been a nurse for almost 41 years, gave the reminder as part of her response to an appreciation ceremony held on Friday on the occasion of her retirement.
So these days you want the degrees, but there are some other qualifications. Guys have the caring, being compassionate, being empathic, and and being humble. So those are qualifications that goes along with it.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Health, Nicole Slack-Liberd, thanked Nurse Stanley for her years of service, describing her tenure as a tremendous accomplishment.
Your years at hospital and also at the community level in terms of community outreach. And we heard about VCT, and some of you say you don't know, it's voluntary counseling and testing, okay? And I know you have been a counselor, and I've had the opportunity to work with you in my years at HIV. And I appreciated learning from you along through those years. I want to say that you've been a model nurse, and you've been an example for many of our young nurses. And I see some of them here today, such as Alan and Flanders, and I want you to take Nurse Ward Stanley's, learn from her. I'm sure you've learned from her over your years, but you can still continue to do so as you advance in the profession.
Slack-Liberd, who presented Stanley with a token of appreciation for her dedicated and invaluable service to the nursing profession, said she would be missed by all.
You will be sorely missed, not just by us here in health, whether it's at the Alexandria Hospital Community Health, but also your patients as well. I know many persons love when you take care of them, and I'm sure you'll remember your special cases over the years. And I want to also make sure that you enjoy your retirement. Although I will be very sad, as well as many others, I know that it's your time to take a break. Best wishes in your future endeavors, and you can always call on myself or anyone here, I'm sure, if you need assistance with anything or just to talk and catch up, because although you're leaving us here today, of course we want to always know how you're doing.
And finally, a frosty green delight created by Dan Perkins of the Nisbet Plantation Inn has been featured among USA Today's Cookiest Cocktails in the Caribbean. The August 13th special by Melanie Raffles notes that upping the ante, bartenders today are putting as much artistic energy into naming a cocktail as they do in creating one, adding a whole new repertoire of catchy cocktail names guaranteed to get the conversation started. Raffles announces to her readers and potential visitors to Nevis that celebrating Nisbet Plantation's stately green Avenue of the Palms, the tasty drink with the same name, is also the welcome drink at the resort's check-in. Avenue of the Palms is stirred with the local CSR light rum, a fizzy grapefruit soda called Ting, coconut rum, and a splash of pineapple juice. Poured over crushed ice, bartender Dan Perkins garnishes his liquid tour de force with a palm frond picked from a tree on the avenue. That's it for tonight's edition of the Nevis Newscast. Thank you for viewing. Good night.